So as you all know, a lot of Black Friday deals have started being announced at different companies, and one of the ones that we've seen pop up at a few places is you can get a brand new Nintendo Switch with a copy of Mario Kart for $300. Yes, that is the price a Switch normally is, so really, you're getting a free copy of Mario Kart. The thing is, this is the exact same deal that Nintendo ran at last year's Black Friday, which caused a lot of people to ask, is this the exact same bundle? Now, normally, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, sometimes bundles get reused, whatever. The reason why this is a little suspect right now, though, is the fact that, well, since last year, Nintendo has released a new Nintendo Switch, a new model of it that looks the exact same normally, but has slightly better features, most importantly, longer battery life. So a lot of people were worried, if this is the old bundle, well, you're buying actually a worse Switch than you would get if you bought a regular new one. And as it turns out, that's exactly what is going on. Now, the way we're able to verify this for sure is because Nintendo themselves have actually disclosed that, in fact, the system included in the bundle is the HAC-001, which was the original launch model of the Switch. The way we see that is that on Nintendo's own official website, they have a specific page that is happyholidays.nintendo.com/deals, where it is listed. Now, with this listing, not only does it show the box with the copy of Mario Kart 8, but in the fine print it actually says that it includes that older model number and even goes on to further specify that it has the battery life of 2.5 to 6.5 hours. Which is honestly one of the worst deals out there right now for Black Friday, and I would heavily advise people to avoid, because by buying this bundle, sure, you get a free copy of Mario Kart 8 if you really want a copy of Mario Kart 8, but as a result, you're also getting an older version of the system that is going to have less performance than ones that have been released since. And in fact, you actually have two alternative options now between the newer version of the Switch and the Switch Lite, both of which are way better choices than spending full price on an old, outdated model. And really to drive home the point of why you shouldn't go for this, let's actually look at what you're losing out on by grabbing this Black Friday deal instead of just going to any store right now and buying a regularly priced Switch. By the way, we are planning on doing a bunch of different Black Friday videos, so if you want to make sure you get the best deal possible on the games and systems you want to grab, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. So again, as things stand right now, there are basically three different main models of the Switch. There is that original launch Switch, which is what comes in this Mario Kart 8 bundle. There's the new Switch, which looks the exact same, but there is one very important difference. And then there is, of course, the Switch Lite. Now, if you guys actually aren't familiar with this difference at all and you're wondering, well, how can I normally tell the difference? When they did the new model refreshes, all the box art was changed on these systems. So if you were buying a new model Switch like this one, it will be in a red box, whereas the original launch Switches are going to be in the old white box. Obviously, things work a little different if it's like a special edition system. If in the future, if there's ever a worry that a new system might be using the old model or the new one, you can check by looking at what model number is on the box, and that will let you know whether it is the original model, the -001, or the new model, which is -001-01. Now, when you're looking at the original launch Switch compared to the new Switch, there's two very important differences to pay attention to. The first obvious one that a lot of people will talk about is the battery life, because the original launch Switch, again, only has somewhere between 2.5 to 6.5 hours of battery life, depending on what games you're playing. And honestly, as long as you're playing major, big release titles that a lot of people get excited for, like Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, all these are the kind of games that are going to drain the battery that quickly. The new Switch, on the other hand, has a considerably better battery life. It's not a full-on ×2, but it's very close to it, and just gives you way more playtime on the go. Now, while the battery is definitely a big deal, another thing that's worth talking about, though, is heat. Because since this is a more energy-efficient system, the new Switch also runs at a cooler temp than the original Switch that comes in that Mario Kart 8 bundle. And the reason why that's important is, it's not an issue of comfort for you. It's not like, oh no, the original one is so hot it's gonna burn my hands. That's not the problem. The problem is that the original Switch would get so hot so often, especially in the dock, that it could cause warping and damage to the physical system itself. In fact, on my original version, the original backplate had cracks all on the back parts where the screws were, and I completely lost the top grille. Now, while there's no guarantee that these kind of issues won't eventually happen to the new Switch as well, because it runs at a lower heat, that just means that it's going to be a lot harder for that to happen, and even if it does, it would take a much longer period of time to actually see issues like that arise. So again, when you're looking at that deal versus just buying one of these, it's $300 for a nicer system that's going to last longer and have more battery life, or $300 for an older system that will die quicker, both in terms of battery life and just the physical state of it, but you get a free game that's $60. By the way, if you are planning to get a Switch, or you already have a Switch and you're not a fan of the color options out there, a great way to customize them is with skins like these from today's sponsor dbrand. They have a bunch of different colors and designs, including these black and carbon fiber ones, and they're totally safe to use on the Switch itself, the Joy-Cons, the dock, and even on the Switch Lite. Check out the link down below for more info. Now, as for the Switch Lite, well, there's a lot of debates and arguments about why you might want to use a Switch Lite instead of a regular Switch. A lot of it comes down to personal preference, but when we're talking about this deal specifically, honestly, it's just a complete no-brainer. I mean, when you're looking at this special Switch bundle, it's $300 for a system that, again, is that older one with the worst battery life. The Switch Lite, while having not as much battery as the new Switch, still has more battery life than the original Switch, while also offering a smaller, more comfortable form factor, and is just honestly a better designed system. And topping all that off, it's $200. So for $100 less, you get more battery life and just a better built system than this Mario Kart 8 bundle. Not to mention, it just comes in really pretty colors that honestly look a lot better. Now, of course, the reason why the Switch Lite is lighter is that it is missing some features, the biggest of which is that you can't dock it. It also doesn't have HD Rumble. And so these are good reasons why you might want to buy a new Nintendo Switch instead, but still, at the end of the day, you should grab one of these two, not the Black Friday bundle. So is there any circumstance or situation out there at all where it makes sense to buy this bundle instead of just buying any other Switch out there? Not really. Some companies sometimes will have last-second additional Black Friday deals. It's possible something could show up where it's like, hey, if you buy this bundle, we'll also throw in a $50 gift card for our store. Something like that, while making value better, honestly, I still think isn't really that worth it. Because when you look at the long-term gain of either saving money by buying a Switch Lite or getting the better performance and longevity of the new Switch, it just doesn't seem like a call that's good to make. The only thing I could understand is if you really wanted a Switch that you plan to only ever use docked and you want to get Mario Kart 8 for free. That's it. If you plan to never play in handheld at all and you just want something to play docked and Mario Kart 8 is something you're excited about, cool. That bundle is okay. But really, just don't do it. Go buy a Switch Lite. It's better.